Make sure we're live. It's been a while since I've done this.
Yeah, it's going, I think it's 9 seconds in, man.
There we are. Right, people, good evening. JC here from We Are Arsenal. And today, me and my good friend Albert are going to be giving our reaction and breaking down some numbers, some pictures for you guys from the game yesterday. But before we do that, Albert, my man, introduce yourself.
No, it's good to be. It's been a while since I was on here, man. God, it definitely last season. I know that, but I can't remember when it was. But no, I appreciate you having me on, man. It's been a long day, but always for you, man. Always make the time for you, man. So yeah, AlbertJTV. If you guys don't know already, I'm not new to the game, but well, kind of newish. If that makes sense.
Yeah, if you don't already know who Albert is, you should do by now. He's been everywhere covering Arsenal for all sorts of channels. I got all of his details down in the description below, so go follow him over on Twitter. Make sure you go and subscribe as well now or after the live stream. But without no further ado, I don't have any fancy intros for anyone just yet. That'll come a little bit later down the line. But the first thing I want to grab from you, I don't really want to go through any stats just yet, but these are some numbers from the game yesterday. This is the lineup. But just your general thoughts on the game yesterday, whether it be, the result, how we played, the players, just your general thoughts on the game, really.
I wouldn't say it went exactly how I thought it would go. I would say it did in the terms of probably the result in terms of Liverpool winning. I'll be honest, I didn't pick a 4-0. I didn't see that coming, I'll be honest. Optimistically, like I said before, in terms of prediction for the game, I went for a 2-2, but I'll be honest with you, I wasn't confident when I said that. So I was a little bit surprised with some of the sections of the fan base that were, how can I put it? Like, I don't know, that were kind of, I understand you've been optimistic, but I saw 2-0 and like 3. I'm like, no, this is, we're going to Anfield away, man. Like, you guys need to really wake up here. Like, we won there since 2012 in the league.
Yeah.
So no, it's a tough one to analyze, when I sort of looked at it, JC. I think if I'm looking at, I think the issue was for me was going 1-0 down. That was always the concern. And there's never a good time to go 1-0 down, but there also can be a terrible time to go 1-0 down. And that, for me, to go 1-0 down 5 minutes before the end of the first half was a big sucker punch, because we started well out of possession. I thought a little bit brave in the first sort of half an hour, but the goal, I thought the goal killed us. I'm sure you'll talk about the incident with Arteta and Klopp on the touchline, because everyone seems to have quite a heated view about it. So I don't know what your thoughts were.
Yeah, well, it was. I was speaking to a few fans on WhatsApp and Twitter during the game, and I love that sort of stuff. But that's just the former player in me, loving to jump into challenges and stuff like that. And I've watched a few reaction videos yesterday evening and today, and some people have said that they felt like that was the turning point in the game because it fired up Anfield. But it was all, as you said, it was always going to be tough. And for me, I just felt they went, like you said, they went 1-0 up just before half time, which was not the best time to go 1-0 down. But I think at that point, Klopp managed to get his arm around the lads and identify areas that he wanted to expose from the first half going into the second half, which we will come on to. And I think it was very, very clear, at least in my opinion, that he looked to target Tavares at left back and also Lokonga in midfield. But we'll crunch some of their numbers in a minute. Another question for you. I'm going to throw some numbers at you first before I ask you the question.
On, hit the numbers, bro.
So I read yesterday after the game, apparently no Big Six team or so-called Big Six team have beaten Liverpool at Anfield since 2016. But also, Virgil van Dijk has never lost a game at Anfield in the colours of a Liverpool shirt since he joined the club. So my question to you is, regardless of that stuff, did Arteta get it right tactically, or was it always going to be a game where we were going to get beaten? I suppose when you look at those numbers and you really take it back, we're talking cities, we're talking Chelsea in the last couple of years who've been fantastic, and they haven't managed to do it. So did Arteta get it right or wrong, or was there just no other outcome?
I mean, looking at the lineup, I mean, the only thing you could have possibly argued, I said this on my fan cam for Lee Judge's TV, you could have argued maybe Maitland-Niles in place of Lokonga, but that was either or. I wouldn't have thought that would have been a big talking point amongst Arsenal fans. So it's amazing how people can be wise after the event. I mean, I saw some of the stuff yesterday. I'm sure we'll touch into it in terms of social media wise and people's thoughts about the game. But tactically, I think, like I said, we was quite brave on the ball, and then obviously being out of possession as well. But I saw people sort of, not everyone was sort of complaining about Ben White, for example, in terms of, Anfield's not the place to try and bring the ball out. I said, but you can't. I mean, you can't not do it because you're playing you're Anfield away, or at the Etihad, or you're at home against Norwich. Like, yes, you can pick and choose your moments, but I don't think that. I think that's a little bit harsh on him, to be honest. But I tactically, I think what I would have liked to have seen, me personally, I'm not saying it's easy to do at Anfield, but I'm sure we'll touch upon it in terms of our attacking stats. And I saw some of the rankings that we're in terms of what we are in the Premier League for our attacking, and it's
I saw those as well.
It's dim. It's very, very dim reading. I mean, even I saw it a few weeks ago in terms of the attacking stats, in terms of chances created and assists from the midfield area. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with a term in tennis. It's called a bagel. Big fat zero. And there was a lot of that within sort of stats. A lot of the midfield players at Arsenal. People might argue, it's only 9-10 games into the season, but listen, goals win matches, man. We reasonably have a defense who we can look forward to having to refuse at Arsenal, with the exception of probably yesterday, but it's not easy to go to Anfield and get a result. But tactically, mate, JC, to be honest, to finish up, could Arsenal done anything a bit different? I would have liked to have seen a bit more of some kind of build-up play in terms of a counter-attack.
Yeah.
But you've got to have the ball, or have the ball long enough and able to do that. But like you mentioned earlier about the traps that Klopp set, and letting the likes of Ben White having the ball and coming into the central areas of the midfield, and just it was funny because the way Liverpool started the second half, I expect them to start the first half like that.
Same.
And it didn't happen. So I don't know. What are your thoughts? Do you think that Arsenal could have done anything a bit more different tactically, or do you think there's
it's a strange one, really, because again, speaking with a few fans before and after the game, some people were saying that we maybe should have gone with a three at the back with slightly more advanced sort of wing backs, so that we could double up on the likes of Salah and Mane and deal with those threats, because it was the first real big test for this young Arsenal side, for example. But at the same time, should Arsenal have to change the way they play in order to win games, or should we let them bring the game to us, for example? But I think, like you said yourself, maybe you could have brought in an Ainsley Maitland-Niles instead of Lokonga, someone who's played against Liverpool in the past. I think there was that game in the Community Shield where he pretty much marked Mane out of the game. I would have personally, I would have liked Kieran Tierney on the left. He's fit enough. He got 2 clean sheets for Scotland over the international break. And I think he's obviously more adapted to the Premier League. He's been here for a while now. And I just think he would have maybe done a little bit more of a job against, a Salah and Alexander-Arnold down that side.
You know what? I know people, like I said, when I mentioned sort of about 3 minutes ago, like, we can all be wise after the event, but I do think Tavares deserved to start yesterday. I know people want to sort of jump on Tierney bandwagon now. But then it was
Mm.
but then some of the fans that were saying that about Tierney were saying that Tavares he deserves to keep his start.
Yeah.
And he did for yesterday. I thought, and the thing is, I thought Tomiyasu actually started the game well, actually, and Ben White. Defensive, I thought he started all right. But like I said, the killer was conceding that goal 5 minutes before halftime. Yes, you can talk about, again, like we talked about, the incident with Arteta and Jurgen Klopp, and it got the crowd up in Liverpool. Liverpool did raise their tempo, and we kind of we not we don't, I don't know if struggled is the right word, but they gained a bit more initiative, and obviously we gave away a stupid free kick with Aubameyang, and that led to the goal. So defensively, yeah, you can look at Tomiyasu and you can look at Gabriel potentially. And actually, when the goal went in, if I'm being honest, the first thing that kind of came to my mind was, I reckon Ramsdale will be disappointed he didn't stop it. It's a good header, but it's a difficult save that he tried to pull off in terms of getting his left arm to put it up over the bar. That's a hard save when the header's been headed down like that. So yeah, it was goals change matches, man, and it did big time.
Yeah, no, you are right. Like you said, I think it was, you never like to go down early, within the first 5 or 10 minutes, but you don't get that chance to react to the goal going in when it's so close to half time. You don't get to see the reaction, of the players. It doesn't always work out. Sometimes, you go on and concede another very, very quickly, but in other cases you get to see the characters of these players. But that's absolutely spot on. Absolutely spot on. So up next, I don't know if you dive into the analytical side of the game this much, but I love this sort of stuff. This is obviously Arsenal's heat map yesterday, and alongside that we've got the passing shape, the average positioning of each player. Any shocks there in terms of the way Arsenal worked throughout the game?
I think the biggest problem was the fact that we didn't. The problem is, if you're gonna go to Anfield away, for example, and I've heard people say this, and it's true, in terms of if you're playing your main guy up front, up top, the thing is, the argument we've had like for a number of times is with Aubameyang in regards to, oh, we've got to play centrally. I'm like, okay, that's cool. But the thing is, he hasn't got the all-round game to play that role, really. And the ball didn't stick with him. And like I said, the thing is, the thing I don't understand, I'll be honest with you, is that I know people talk about our team being the youngest in the league, for example. And like looking at the heat map now, but like I said, the midfield is such a key area, man. And to be honest, I know people can question the strength of the midfield, I understand that, but when you don't have possession of the football, it's very difficult to penetrate any team. And the problem, and to add on top of that as well, is you've got Aubameyang, who I'm sure we'll come on to a bit more. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but yeah, JC, it was a tough watch, that game, I'll be honest with you. I don't know what you thought, but we try to hang in there and be resilient, but like I said, the goal just before halftime and then the second goal absolutely finished that game off completely. What can you do for individual errors? How do you compensate for that?
Yeah, to be fair, that second goal, I think it was the nature of the way that the goal was conceded. I know we obviously in those first 3 games of the season there was some individual errors that led to goals, but when we went on that 10-game unbeaten run across all competitions, you started to get the feeling that those individual errors were something of the past, or at least we were hoping they were something of the past. And I just felt like everyone's confidence just dropped immediately after the second goal winning, just literally because of the nature of it. It came from a terrible. I've got some pictures that we'll look at in a minute. A terrible pass from Nuno Tavares, who's been fantastic when coming in for Kieran Tierney so far. But one thing that really did surprise me was which is backed up in these pictures here, is how advanced Tomiyasu was yesterday. He was pretty much marking Tsimikas alongside Saka, which gave Mane so much space down their left-hand side, and it was pulling Ben White out of position. And I didn't really understand that because we've not played like that before Liverpool. And Lokonga was another one who was sort of trying to play that. You can see there, he's quite deep compared to the other midfield players, and he was trying to play that role that Xhaka plays when Arsenal were in possession moving forward, and he drops into that left-back position. I don't think it suits his all-round game. I don't know if you feel the same in terms of the way I'm looking at it.
Yeah, and also as well to add to that, you obviously saw yesterday the switches in terms of Tomiyasu and Tavares. I'm not sure if that really worked. I mean, obviously they must have worked on it during the week in terms of training, but I don't particularly think Tavares looked that comfortable on the right hand side. But yeah, the Zambian party, party wasn't great yesterday, man. Now I don't know whether that was because there was a potential. I don't know if was he rushed back or maybe there might have been a slight injury concern, but he just looked to me, he looked off the pace. And I think the thing with Sambi is, and I said this before about him, that, and probably with midfield players in general, it's just that thing of knowing when to release the ball a bit quicker. Anfield is not the place to take multiple touches on the ball. And actually, I actually think it got worse in the second half with the team in terms of when we had the ball and what we did with it, we just gave it away needlessly. I thought Tavares obviously made the mistake for the second goal, but to me, he gradually got worse.
Yeah.
I mean, his passing was off, completely off.
Me and you have had many chats, both during streams and offline, about Granit Xhaka, who's still not going to be available until at least January. I feel like we are missing that sort of, not necessarily missing Xhaka, but that sort of player in midfield at the moment. Thomas Partey, like you already touched upon, wasn't his usual self. Obviously, didn't travel for international break. He had a little niggling injury, from what I read. But no, it's like you said, you've got to keep hold of the ball. You've got to keep hold of the ball, and to be experimenting with which side of the pitch your left and right back are going to be playing.
I did find that
games.
I did find that odd.
It's maybe at home, but away at Anfield, I don't understand why it's not the first time Arteta's done this either. Arteta's experimented in games before now, and it's been the wrong type of game that he's experimented in. Okay, got a few comments coming in here from people before we move into this next slide. Liverpool 4-0, positive thing, 20 minutes defended well. Okay. Any questions? Any questions, guys? We'll leave until the end of the stream. So if you've got any good questions, keep them in mind, and me and Albert will try our best to answer them.
Yes, it's difficult. The thing is, Liverpool. The thing is, even yesterday, I've seen some of the reaction for the game, and like I said, Liverpool are a good side, isn't it? Like Mane, Salah, and Jota. Jota doesn't get enough credit, actually, to be honest. But
no.
Listen, they're going to give any defense problems. And unfortunately, you know, our boys come up against a stern test yesterday, man. And actually, if it wasn't for Ramsdale, it could have been a lot worse.
It could have been. It really could have been. Yeah, Ramsdale was, I think I read he made five saves in the end. But it wasn't just the saves that he made, was it? There was a couple of occasions where I think there was the Salah opportunity where he made the save and then he swept the ball away from Salah tapping it in. And then there was the Mane one in the first half as well, where he's already on the ground and he makes that second save. But a couple of players here. We won't go through all this information. We'll be all done if we do. There's a lot of numbers and heat maps and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. But for me, we are going to speak about Ramsdale in the next section. But obviously, we've spoken about Tavares and Lokonga in quite some detail already. Aubameyang is another one I want to speak about. But some of the things here that surprised me was Tavares yesterday. He lost possession 18 times, which was the most out of any Arsenal player on the pitch. And obviously one of those errors led to a goal. But apart from that, he won 8 out of 10 duels, 4 tackles, 2 blocks, an interception. Passing isn't too bad. And we can see there on his heat map, he's up and down that line. He's an athlete. And we know how much of a threat he is going forward. But taking away, just for a moment, if we take away the pass that led to a goal, generally speaking, was there any other concerns that you had with his game? And do you think that Kieran Tierney would have done a better job?
Yeah, I actually thought he started the game pretty decently. Actually, I thought he coped with the threat of their front three along with the rest of the defense. I actually thought he started pretty well, but I think not just the game yesterday against Liverpool, but the games I've seen him play, he does. Maybe people might put it down to his age and experience, but he is a bit of a headless chicken in terms of he gets his head down and just runs. Like, you need to learn to pick a better pass. And that's not just yesterday's game. There's been a few games this season where he's got himself into very, very good positions, but his decision making has let him down. That's the problem. He's got the height, he's got the size, he's got the pace, which is great, but he just needs to add not cutting edge is the right word. He needs to add his decision making is the issue. That's the issue. I mean, the passes, I don't know. Like I said, unfortunately for him, he got worse yesterday. Some of the passes he played, even after the mistake for the goal, I was like, my God, man. But yeah, like I said, hindsight's a beautiful thing, man. But but I'll stick by what I said. He deserved his starting berth yesterday against Liverpool. He get the shirt, so yeah.
Absolutely. He did deserve it on form. He's been playing really, really well. I think one of the other reasons why, not just form, I think one of the other reasons why he might have been picked for the game yesterday is Arsenal were clearly set up to hit Liverpool on the counter-attack. Liverpool play that high line, and the pace that man has is frightening. And some of the deliveries that he's whipped into the box, over the last few games, there was a couple in the Aston Villa game and the Leicester game that come to mind. So you can certainly see, why he was selected. Because if we did get opportunities, like you said in the last slide, if we did manage to string a few passes together, he would have been a huge threat down that left-hand side. Massive. Yeah, he would have massive. Other question, we won't touch on Lokonga because we've spoken about him quite a bit already, but Aubameyang, the reason I want to speak about him is I know Arsenal didn't have the ball for large parts of the game, but when you go to Anfield, you need to take the opportunities that you get. You're not going to get many, but you need to take the opportunities that you get. Yeah. And Arsenal, well, since the summer really, and again now that it's building up to January, we're being linked with strikers at the moment. And Aubameyang, he was very, very, very quiet yesterday. When we look back at some of the games in previous weeks, he's led by example, pressing high, non-stop running. We didn't see that side of Aubameyang yesterday, in my opinion. What were your general thoughts about him? Could he have done better? Did you want more from him?
Oh God, where do I start with this guy, man? I think first thing I will say before I come on to yesterday's game, and obviously what I've seen this season, actually maybe what I've even seen in the last 6-7 months, to be honest. But I think with sections of our fan base, unfortunately, he does get a lot of latitude. I'm not just talking about in terms of his goals for Arsenal. I just think people are prepared to, dare I say, give him a free pass because I was on the strikers' case last season, probably more than any other department of the pitch. And the reason for that is because there were games. Yes, Arsenal fans will talk about creativity and you don't give him enough chances and service, but you can't always use that as a reason as to why he performs poorly consistently. This is not a one-off of him. There's too many games where he's poor, very, very poor, and he's playing as the main striker. He's not out on the left. He's not on the right. He's not coming off the bench. He's got an exceptional goal scoring record, JC, in his career, but I said this. I think I said it on. I didn't say it on my channel. I said it on another channel. I can't remember. It's quite a while ago. And I said, if you cut through the red tape and you can blame creativity, you can blame the transfer window, you can blame recruitment, you can blame the fact who we sold or didn't buy. Sometimes you may have to look at it and think to yourself, is it him? Yes, he's a bit older. Yes, he's not 25, 24. He's not in the prime of his career. And, you know, does it get better? I'm not sure. I don't know what, you know, you've got, we big up our youngsters in terms of Saka and ESR, and they've done very well since they've come featured into the team at different parts. But, you know, he's got pace around him. He's got legs around him. He's got skill. He's got goals around him. He's got assists around him. What is it that he's not? What's not clicking for him?
It's a tough question. It is. Yeah. No, you're absolutely spot on, because you've seen the videos that I do on my channel, and I'm always looking through the stats. I'm looking at, you know, how many shots generally in the game, how many shots on target, you know, how many of those were inside, outside the box, you know, how much possession did we have in the final third? And there have been games this season where we've absolutely dominated sides, like absolutely dominated teams.
Yes.
And you just feel as though that if we had a more, I wouldn't say clinical striker, it's probably the wrong word, because we know that he has been clinical in the past. You know, we know what he's capable of, but it's more a case of, is he past it? It's starting to look more and more likely, in my opinion. It's a difficult one as well, because we've criticised so many players in the past of not signing contracts at what could be a vital time for the club. And it always feels as though every time we pass the armband to a big player, their form just dips immediately. I don't know if it's responsibility. I don't know if it's, you know, passing the armband to a player to keep them at the club. I don't know what it is. But for me yesterday, there was, I think, well, you can see that his only shot of the game was after a 30 pass move where Arsenal were playing from left to right around the back, and we managed to get in. I'm not saying it would have changed the game. Alisson saved it with his feet. But you have to think that there are going to be more times like that in the future where it's a 0-0 or what we're losing 1-0. And that could be a massive difference come the end of the season for a top 6/top 4 push, for example. So, I'm not surprised that we're being linked with strikers at the moment, especially with Lacazette maybe leaving in the summer as well. It's only going to leave Aubameyang really as the only recognised striker at the club. So any other players yesterday, apart from Ramsdale, which we'll speak about in the next section, any other players yesterday that you want to sort of touch upon quickly?
No, I think Liverpool did their homework in terms of there were a couple occasions in the first half with Saka where his decision making could have been a little bit better, but I think they nullified ESI. You could see they were doubling up on him, and Saka, they were doubling up on him, and that's the thing. It's the problem. This is the problem, JC. When you nullify Saka and ESR, we have a huge problem. And them stats in terms of our attacking stats don't lie, man. Like I think in all of the stats that came up in terms of the attacking stats, I think the highest we are in one of them is 12th. There's like 13th, 19th, 14th. Like I think 19th is for the what was it again? I can't remember now. What was it? I did see it.
I know exactly what you're talking about. I seen the same. It was like a breakdown on Sky Sports, I think it was.
Yeah, that's it. Open play goals, man. Ranked 19th in the league. That's poor. I mean, I knew it wasn't great, but I didn't realize it was that bad.
Yeah, it's not good. It's not good. It goes back to last season. I remember. Don't get me wrong. It was a huge positive. You know, Arsenal having one of the best defensive records in the Premier League after Christmas last year. But it's all well and good having a great defensive record, but you've got to score goals. You've got to score more goals. And it doesn't seem to have changed. And not enough for me, at least.
JC, that's the funny thing, mate. Like, if you look at Arsenal's last, I think it's the last 3 years or 4 years or whatever it is. in terms of goals scored, we've gone down.
Yeah.
But the goals conceded has obviously gone down as well. But we're no higher in the league. It's crazy, man. I don't know how we, unless Arteta is willing to be a bit more. How can I put it? I would say probably risk adverse. To be honest with you, he's got the players to do it. But he's set them up so defensively. I don't have an issue that if you do it against Liverpool away because they're a good side. But
yeah,
unfortunately, mate, our goal difference has hit hammering as well. So -4 again, mate.
No, yeah, it's -4 and we're 5th in the league. It's odd. You don't see it. Right, a few comments here before we jump into the next slide. Positives of the mentality. Okay. What we've got a question for both you legends. What formation would you take into the Newcastle game for Saturday? Ramsdale is a beast. Personally, I'd keep the same formation. I don't know about you. I think Tavares may come out possibly for confidence reasons, and maybe the same for Lokonga. I don't know if you agree.
I think you've hit the nail on it. I think if there's going to be any changes, I could see them two coming in.
Yeah,
and I wouldn't have it, and I wouldn't have an issue with that. Why would I have an issue with that? You want to try and keep what I've been complaining about, what most Arsenal fans are complaining about, a nucleus of a first 11. So you make a couple of changes here and there. Mate, those two to me, those would be two obvious players to come in.
Yeah, I agree. I think the only other one potentially might be. I don't know if it definitely will happen, but obviously Odegaard hasn't featured too often recently, and I know Lacazette's had a huge impact in recent times. But yes, that's the only other one really. I can't see there being too many other changes. Arteta is the issue before.
Jace, the thing that's concerning me, right? It is the goals, it is the attacking stats, but people saying we need to put Lacazette in the team, right? We have done, but he doesn't look like scoring.
No,
and Aubameyang definitely doesn't look like scoring either. So
no.
We are. You know what? We're good. We're potentially, and thinking long term, mate. Sorry. Before you, Karen, is we've got a problem, man, in the next year or two because Aubameyang's not going to be here forever.
No.
Lacazette, I'll be shocked if he's here in the summer. There was even some debate, JC, in terms of contracts, giving him an extension or giving him another contract, and
I saw this, yeah,
moving Aubameyang on. I mean, if you, but I think the person, whoever kind of put that out there, I think they did it kind of more so over what they said over sort of recent games as opposed to, just an out and out decision on whether you take one or the other. But listen, it's a plausible question, man. It's a plausible question.
Yeah, I saw the potential 1-year contract extension. The problem I've got with that is Aubameyang's here for at least another year.
Yeah,
unless you were to go in the summer. Let's entertain the fact that Lacazette stays for another year. Who realistically is going to want to come to the club when you've got Aubameyang, who's captain, and Lacazette, and then you're going to spend 50, 60, 70, whatever million on a striker? Don't get me wrong, competition for places is always a good thing. But, you've got to ask yourself the question, is that realistically going to happen? I think I saw, I think it's Gooner Talk, Tom.
Yeah.
He put something up the other week saying that Arsenal have got a decision to make between either offering Lacazette a new contract for a year or two or making a marquee summer signing. Now, for me personally, I know that Lacazette's had a good impact in the last few weeks, but marquee signing for me is more important for the longevity or long term of the team. And Odegaard's got to start firing at some point and take that place back off of Lacazette. I don't know if you agree with that.
The Odegaard one's an interesting one there because I think if you speak to most Arsenal fans about him, I think a lot of them are quite unsure, to be honest. I know a lot of fans that were kind of like, I didn't see enough of him last season, not in terms of watching him, just in terms of enough in terms of productivity for Arsenal to
Yeah.
go and outlay the money to bring him in. There's some people that think he's fantastic. The problem is I don't think he was ever Arsenal's first choice. That's my issue.
Yeah.
And if you're going to buy him and bring him into the club, you know, you've almost got a kind of, I won't say build the team around him, but if you're talking about this side lacking creativity, then why hasn't he featured recently? Yes, you can argue because him and ESR are not the same. ESR to me would be better as a 10 if I'm being honest with you. But
Yeah.
I don't have an issue with him on the left because he can do it. But yeah, I thought he was bought Erdegaard with the intention that he was going to be the one that's going to give Aubameyang and Lacazette the ammunition. But one, that hasn't happened when he has played, and two, he's not been playing recently.
No.
So, and then of course you got the Martinelli conundrum where people are asking again still, what's this guy got to do to get some minutes? It's the thing, like he says, we're goal shy, and that's not even just this season. It happened. There were periods last season. The strikers weren't playing that well for him not to get the minutes. They weren't playing that well. Aubameyang had his worst patch in his footballing career last season, and to be honest, has probably continued it coming into this season. And
it does make you wonder, doesn't it?
Yeah,
it does make you wonder because you've got Pepe being frozen out the side at the moment due to poor performances and consistency, and then you've got someone like Aubameyang. I know he's captain of the club, but you know, maybe not to the level of Pepe's poor performances. But surely when he's not performing well, Arteta's got to make a statement and bring in a Martinelli, say for example, who in the past at a younger, more inexperienced age has got goals for Arsenal. I know some of those have been in the Europa League against poor opposition, but you know, at the end of the day, if what you've got in front of you isn't working, then surely you have to change it. Surely.
That's the thing. Like he's just reticent to play Martinelli, whatever situations. I mean, personally, I'd have took Aubameyang off yesterday.
Yeah.
Actually, there's quite a few games I'd have taken him off and kept Lacazette on. But Lacazette's had this thing now under different managers where 60 minutes he's taken off, regardless. Home or away, he gets taken off. So, you know, what's his name? Balogun's gonna go on loan. I don't expect Eddie to be here. I don't expect Lacazette to be here. So, bro, we got a problem. Listen, Raul Jimenez, I love him. I think he's fantastic.
Yeah, he's a very, very good player. Very, very good player.
I just wish he
might be past his age, age bracket now for Arsenal to sign him.
I just wish he was about 3 or 4 years younger. I'd take him in a heartbeat. I'd take him in a heartbeat. Sterling's
an interesting one, as Judge mentions there. It depends really, like you said a minute ago, Albert. You know, if you're going to start using Smith Rowe through the middle a little bit more often, maybe a Sterling would work. But then you're taking game time away from other people. If Pepe's sold, that's a stream for another day. We can sit for hours and talk about that.
I do not see. Listen. I do not see if I'm happy to be proved wrong. I do not see Raheem Sterling coming to Arsenal.
No, I can't see it myself either.
It's not happening.
I can't see it. Canners with a question here. How about playing Odegaard next to Partey? They have done that once or twice, haven't they? He's even done an Odegaard Smith Rowe party in the once. I can't remember which game it was now. Against Newcastle, Canners is asking. What do you reckon on that?
Like I said, they have played together. Canis, you know, is with the thing with the Erdegaard thing, right? Quickly, just finish up with that. Is I didn't have a problem also bringing him in if you bring him in alongside of Basuma, but that never happened.
No,
you bought in Erdegaard quite late in the transfer window. Yes, I understand. I mentioned it before that it's not easy to negotiate transfers, but if Erdegaard was really Arsenal's really number one signing, or you know, a target, they would have got the deal done sooner. So I know Arteta likes and speaks to him very fondly, but that's the thing. If you listen, you get a Basuma in there with Partey and Erdegaard, you work it out. I don't know, you drop either. Someone has to get dropped. But listen, that's not my problem. That's the manager's order.
Yeah, I can see Arsenal going for someone in. I don't know if it'll be January or the summer. Especially with Ofcom coming up as well. You know, you've got a few lads leaving for that. But if anything, playing against the likes of Liverpool yesterday, and there's been a few other occasions, we definitely need something else in midfield.
Arsenal fans, if you're listening, listen. Let's have it right. Forget the money side of it, because that's not our concern. We don't buy the players in it, but there are midfield players out there.
Yes,
there are. Don't let it get twisted that they cost a packet. There are midfield players out there that will come to Arsenal and give us what we need. Whether that's Basuma, whether it's Kamara, whether it's the Mexican guy, Ajax, forgot his surname now. I don't think we get him anyway because he costs too much. But there's players out there. There are players out there. The Zakaria.
No doubt we've already identified people.
There's bare players out there that can come to Arsenal do better. Trust me. Bare.
No, well, it's going to be interesting. Right, I think this is the last slide now, actually, before we jump into some questions and finish things off. But I just wanted to go through. I probably could have put 6 or 7 images up on screen, but this section I've decided to call it sort of like match-defining moments. Picture number 1 was the first goal. A couple of things I wanted to point out here. It's annoying in the sense that, we brought this set piece coach in, obviously not just from a offensive point of view, but defensive point of view as well. But Mane here is between Tomiyasu and Gabriel, who are 2 fantastic headers of the ball. And then in the red circle, I think that's Thomas Partey, who's allowed Virgil van Dijk to get away from him, who is one of the best headers of the ball in the league. And it's left Gabriel with a huge decision to make here on what to do. And you've got 3 Arsenal players effectively marking one player who's floating. Is there anything else that we could have done about this? Is it poor defending from Arsenal? Could we have had a slightly deeper line to avoid this from happening?
I think who was mentioning it? They said that they could have, because you look at that still shot, they're all the wrong side, all of them. I think Trent took it. It was an outswinging sort of free kick he took in. But yeah, it is poor defensively, because if you look at the position of all the defensive minded players in the team, they're the wrong side, all of them.
Yeah.
Gabriel's body shape is wrong. Tomiyasu is going to be far too late on the cover, which he's pretty good at, to be fair, from the games I've seen him play this season. But they're all the wrong side. I don't know. Maybe they could have started the line a fraction a bit deeper, possibly. And they might have
half a yard, maybe.
Yeah. But that still shot's a perfect shot. They're all the wrong side. You should not. None of them Liverpool players should. You should not have all 4 ahead of 5 Arsenal defensive players there. No chance.
It's mad. It is mad. And it is the irony of it as well is, like, over the last 2 or 3 weeks, so mane positives being spoken about in terms of what Arsenal have done from set pieces. And then it's not just, the fact that, Mane's managed to score a fantastic header or something like that. It really does just come down to poor defending.
It is.
Picture number 2. I don't think we need to speak about this one too much, because we've touched upon it quite a few times. But for me here, it literally comes down. You hit the nail on the head earlier. It literally just comes down to a combination of lack of concentration mixed in with poor decision making.
Yeah, because JC, with that's, to me, I know people talk about experience, right? That's not experience.
No,
that mistake there's nothing to do with experience. That's just poor decision making. He's not even looking when he hits that pass. There's so much. There's so many things. The thing is, there's so many things he could have done other than that.
Yeah. For me, it's at this point in the game, we're what, 5-10 minutes into the second half.
Yeah.
Tavares should have known from the previous 50-55 minutes that Liverpool have been pressing high the whole game. You have to get your head up in that scenario.
Yeah.
You just have to, knowing that Liverpool have been pressing the whole game, you have to get your head up. And if you're in a position, I know people don't like it, but if you're not sure where that ball's going, just hit it long.
Yeah,
it might be coming back. But
I can't understand why he passed it there. I'm still baffled today why he done it.
Yeah.
And like I said, it got more contagious because it got worse.
Yeah.
He done it about,
like we said earlier, it was, for me, this was when heads dropped, confidence dropped,
Yeah.
and it was the nature of the goal that made those things happen. But look, he's got to learn. He's got to learn. He's got Kieran Tierney breathing down his neck now, and I'm sure he'll be working hard in training. Picture number 3. So this is an interesting one. You definitely, I know you would have seen this.
Yeah, 100%.
The ball is clearly out of play. Like clearly out of play. Yes, Mane gets booked. Arsenal have, over the last month or so, have had some VAR decisions go their way for a change.
Yeah.
But it just feels like there are more decisions that don't go our way that should have been viewed by VAR than do. Do you think he should have been sent off? Do you think the referee should have viewed this again? Because the ball is it's off the pitch. Why is he lunging in like that? How has he managed to get away with it?
Yeah, that was a poor challenge, man. I remember that yesterday very clear. That was a very, very poor challenge. And this is the second year in a row with Mane, man. Like, he's got away with it, man. Like, listen, there's a case for him. Well, definitely is a case for him to get sent off last season. But I mean, I think he got booked. Yeah, he did get booked yesterday, actually.
Yeah, he got booked.
Yeah, that was a poor challenge, man. That was a very, very poor challenge. And it wasn't the only one either.
No.
He's got away with it again, man. Mane. He's pulled a fast one, man, unfortunately, again. But he got a yellow card. But and actually, funny enough, I think Mark Oliver's probably one of the better referees. But yeah, he wasn't. I don't think he was very strong yesterday. No.
Agreed. Right, before we jump on to question number 4, because that is going to be the last part of today's live stream. If you've got any questions for me or Albert, get them in the chat right now. Drop a like on the video as well if you haven't done already. And make sure you've got Albert's information ready to drop a follow, drop a sub over on his channel, as well as myself. Thank you all so much for coming along and watching today. But yeah, just to kind of finish up, picture number 4 isn't a picture of him making a save. I could have done a highlight reel of some of the saves that he made against Liverpool. And I even saw a comment on Twitter earlier today saying it was someone who didn't watch the game and they watched the highlights back, and they said it could have been a cricket score had he have not made the saves that he did. Generally speaking, how big can this guy be moving forwards? How important is he to Arsenal?
Well, he's very important. I mean, it's funny because you speak to most pros, or well, you listen to most pros, shall I say? Sorry. Why's my Siri coming up? Sorry. What's going on? Can you hear me? Can you hear me still?
Yeah.
I don't know why that's coming up, but no. Yeah, a lot of people said, look, it was very. The eyebrows were raised when he was linked with Arsenal. I was like, Aaron Ramsdale. I said, where's that come from? But yeah, he's had a phenomenal sort of few months, man, at Arsenal. And yeah, like I said, if it wasn't for him yesterday, it could have been the scoreline could have got very, very ugly. And like I said, he'd probably be disappointed that he conceded the first goal, to be honest. But yeah, if it wasn't for him, I thought he'd done it. I thought that save should have got a lot more credit, actually, the one in the second half when he was going the opposite way and saved it with his left hand. I thought that was an excellent save. It was a really, really good save. And listen, I think what he's done, if I'm talking about further than Arsenal and talking about England, it's given Gareth Southgate something to think about, because I think the thing that sort of has kept Pickford in the sticks for England is because of his distribution, which is excellent, by the way. I'll give Jordan Pickford that, but you've actually got a goalkeeper, Ramsdale, who's obviously very good at that as well. And Southgate would have seen that. His distribution is excellent, Ramsdale. So that plays into his favor. So listen, man, Pickford is that number 1 jersey is not as clear cut as you think it is. Even though he had a fantastic Euros, Pickford, but yeah, Ramsdale is very important. I think him and the likes of Gabriel set the tone for how we perform defensively. He's brought a confidence. He's brought a reassurance.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, I wish I could adopt him, to be honest with you, but I can't. But I love him. I think he spoke brilliantly after the game in his quotes. What he said, I thought the wording was right, and just some people think, oh yeah, footballers when they talk, yeah, they should say that. But no, when certain footballers talk, you listen. and he's one of them people. You listen. So listen, this guy's gonna be massive for us this season.
Huge.
He could probably be the difference between us getting top 6 and top 8.
I have to agree with you. I know. Do you know what? I do, because when you look back at the Leicester game and you look at some of the saves he's made, he single-handedly got us all 3 points, potentially, depending on who you ask. But taking nothing away from Leno, he's been a good servant to Arsenal. But when you look at someone like Leno, you have to ask yourself the question, would he have made those same big saves? Would he have, saved points for Arsenal over the last, 10 plus games, 15 games, whatever it may have been? But yeah, he was absolutely phenomenal yesterday, Ramsdale, in my opinion. So I'm so glad that we managed to pick him up in the end. But any more questions, guys? We've only got one question so far for me and Albert to answer. So if you've got any other questions, you want to get them in the chat right now before we sign off for the evening. So, gents, my question, during the coming window, what position needs a new signing most, and who should we try bring in? So what do you reckon on that one, Albert?
Good. This you could ask this question at any time of the season. Yeah, because if you look at it really, like even with the situation with Leno, he's like, oh, you know what? Oh no, Leno, it's that the goalkeeper position is the least of our worries. It wasn't, because it changed pretty quickly last season. And then the midfield's always been an issue. In terms of midfield, if I'm talking about that position, like I said before earlier in the segment, there's the guys out there that Arsenal can get, whether it be Zakaria, whether it be Kamara at Marseille. I think it's Alvarez at Ajax, Basuma here in the Premier League with Brighton. There are men out here that can come and play for Arsenal, bro. Don't get it twisted. There's man, stop the Xhaka thing. There's man out here that can come out and play for Arsenal. Trust me. If Arsenal do their due diligence, sort that midfield out.
I have to second that. I do have to second that. I know the striker position is
massive,
an important one. Don't get me wrong. And I know we touched upon it earlier in saying that, Aubameyang hasn't been at his best, but he will get goals. We hope he gets goals between now and the end of the season. And you've got other people who can step in. Nketiah has been okay when he's needed to be. Lacazette as well. But in midfield, Xhaka not being available, El Neni going off to Ofcon in January, February time. We're going to have hardly anyone in there. So we need another top quality signing in midfield. But it doesn't look like we've got any other questions for this evening. So I'd like to give you a massive thank you for coming on. And the debut of my my live stream, my first live stream since launching the channel back in the summer. So thank you so much. But before we do go, tell these guys what you're all about, where they can find you, what you do.
Oh God, I'm everywhere. Where can I start? So AlbertJTV. I've got my own channel, as you guys might know already. If you don't know, now you definitely know. On the road to 900, hopefully. So keep that going. 900, 1K, whatever, man. We'll get up there. But yeah, you'll also find me on various other podcasts. I've got my show on Lee Judges TV, which is on a Tuesday night. Albert's Talking Points. So yeah, listen, been given some great opportunities, man, and taking it with both hands. And very important to remain humble, despite what some people may think.
Oh, mate, I couldn't agree with you more. Humble. Best way to be, mate. Absolutely. But listen, guys, if you haven't already done, take note of Albert's details. They're scrolling across the screen right now. I've got a link to his YouTube channel down in the description. So go over and sub to his channel. Follow him on Twitter. I'm going to be doing these live shows after every game within 24 hours. And I'm going to be having Albert on as often as he is available, because he's a busy guy. He's a busy guy. He's on lots of different channels.
Not just YouTube people. But listen, me and JC, we have jobs outside of YouTube. It's not just YouTube, believe me. Yeah,
absolutely. But listen, guys, thank you so much for watching this evening. Subscribe, like the video. But for now, we are out.
Smash the likes, people.